Love your neighbor as yourself. Bible references: Matthew 22, verse 39, Luke 10, verses 25 to 37. Introduction. One of the greatest teachings of Jesus is the command to love others. After declaring that the greatest commandment is to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, Jesus immediately added a second command. And the second is like it: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, verse 39. These words reveal that genuine love for God is closely connected to how we treat people. We cannot claim to love God while ignoring the needs of others. The command to love our neighbor is not merely a suggestion. It is a fundamental part of Christian living. But who is our neighbor? How should we love them? Jesus answered these questions through his teaching and through the famous parable of the Good Samaritan. This lesson remains just as relevant today as it was when Jesus first spoke it. The command to love your neighbor. The command to love our neighbor originates in the Old Testament and was reaffirmed by Jesus. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22, verse 39. This command calls us to show the same concern for others that we naturally show for ourselves. Most people care about their own well-being. They seek food, shelter, safety, and happiness. Jesus teaches that we should extend that same care and concern to those around us. Loving our neighbor does not mean simply having kind feelings. Biblical love is active. It involves compassion, kindness, forgiveness, generosity, and service. The Apostle John later emphasized this truth. My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. 1 John 3, verse 18. True Christian love is demonstrated through actions. The question, who is my neighbor? In Luke 10, a lawyer approached Jesus and asked what he must do to inherit eternal life. Jesus directed him to the law, which summarized God's commands as loving God and loving one's neighbor. Wanting to justify himself, the lawyer asked, "And who is my neighbor?" Luke 10, verse 29. Many people in that culture limited the meaning of neighbor to those who belonged to their own group, nation, or community. Jesus challenged this narrow understanding by telling a powerful story. The parable of the Good Samaritan. Jesus described a man traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho who was attacked by robbers. They stripped him, wounded him, and left him half dead beside the road. A priest came by and saw the injured man, but he passed by on the other side. Later, a Levite also saw him and chose not to help. Then a Samaritan came along. The Jews and Samaritans generally had deep hostility toward one another. Yet this Samaritan showed compassion. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion. Luke 10, verse 33. The Samaritan treated the man's wounds, placed him on his animal, took him to an inn, and paid for his care. After telling the story, Jesus asked, "Which of these three do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves?" Luke 10, verse 36. The answer was obvious: the one who showed mercy. Jesus conclude, "Go and do likewise." Luke 10, verse 37. Love crosses boundaries. One of the most important lessons from this parable is that love crosses barriers. The Samaritan did not allow differences in nationality, culture, or prejudice to stop him from helping someone in need. He saw a suffering person and responded with compassion. Christians are called to love people regardless of race, background, social status, or personal differences. God's love reaches all people, and our love should reflect his heart. Jesus consistently showed compassion to those whom society rejected. He welcomed sinners, healed the sick, and cared for the outcasts. As followers of Christ, we are called to do the same. Love requires action. The priest and Levite may have had religious knowledge, but they failed to act. The Samaritan demonstrated real love through practical service. He invested his time, energy, and resources to help someone he did not even know. Biblical love always involves action. It is easy to speak about love, but genuine love sacrifices for the good of others. The Apostle James taught, If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Depart in peace, be warmed and filled," but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? James 2 verses 15 to 16. Love is most visible when it moves beyond words and becomes practical service. Loving others reflects God's love. God demonstrated his love for humanity by sending his Son to save us. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5 verse 8. Because God loved us first, we are called to love others. When we forgive, show mercy, encourage the hurting, and help those in need, we reflect the character of Christ. People often experience God's love through the kindness and compassion shown by his followers. Practical ways to love your neighbor. 1. Show kindness daily. Small acts of kindness can have a great impact. A kind word, a helping hand, or an encouraging message can brighten someone's day. 2. Help those in need. Look for opportunities to assist those who are struggling financially, emotionally, or physically. 3. Practice forgiveness. Love does not hold grudges. Just as God forgives us, we should forgive others. 4. Listen with compassion. Many people simply need someone who will listen and care. Taking time to listen demonstrates genuine love. 5. Share the gospel. The greatest act of love is pointing people to Jesus Christ. Sharing the message of salvation helps others discover eternal life. Conclusion. Jesus commands us to love our neighbor as ourselves. Through the parable of the Good Samaritan, he teaches that our neighbor is anyone in need, regardless of background or differences. True love is not limited to words or feelings. It is demonstrated through compassion, mercy, service, and sacrifice. When we love others as Christ loved us, we fulfill God's command and become a powerful witness to the world. May we follow the example of the Good Samaritan and obey the words of Jesus. Go and do likewise.